Hello, this is Coralla Ficklin at Coralla Ficklin. No, Coralla Ficklin, welcome.com, not at Coralla Ficklin. Welcome. Coralla Ficklin, McLean, welcome, WYLCONE.com. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, and we're looking at pronunciation in Spanish. As you all know, as you all can hear, I'm a native English speaker. I'm not a native Spanish speaker. So I'm looking, so therefore the aspects of Spanish that I emphasize might not be the same aspects of Spanish. Let's say that someone who speaks Spanish and they're learning their own word, their own language. Just like when I do English as an English speaker. But here's the difference, because I learned the language actually living in the country, I learned it somewhat like a native speaker, but a much older native speaker. When a child learns a language, they're in their parents' arm, and they just learn because it's told to them again and again, the same words, the same structures. So it begins to be almost natural. Because I already spoke another language, that it wasn't the same process, but it's not the same process also as if I were in a classroom and I learned the language. So it's sort of like in between. So the first thing I knew I needed to understand was the alphabet. So here we go. A, B. Now I'm going to call this B grande, even though I don't put the word B grande. But A, B, C, Ch, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, A, not a double L, because there's a difference between the L and the E sound. L is the L, and the A is more like a Y. Okay, N. So the difference between the N and the N, I call it with the little tilt on top of that little hat. Okay, O, P, Q, R, difference between R and R, S, T, U, B, chica. Remember I called the other B, B grande, B chica. W, X, Y, which means the Greek Y, the Greek I, Y, y theta. Now, sometimes the theta is pronounced theta, like an S. It's never pronounced like a Z in English, or it's pronounced depending the Spaniards and maybe other groups, it's pronounced like theta. I pronounce it somewhere in between because it's easier for me to pronounce it that way than when I see the Z, I pronounce it like the Z in English. So I just say theta, that's fine. All right, so that's the alphabet. Now, I'm going to try to make these videos sort of short, well, short for me. And so maybe I'll just do maybe 5 or 6 cards. Then I'll just do basic pronunciation in Spanish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. Okay, first of all, Spanish is a phonetic language, but should I say it's much more of a phonetic language than English is. English is not a phonetic language. A lot of the sounds you have to memorize, or you have to guess, or you have to figure out the context. So Spanish is a phonetic language, which means that one letter corresponds to one sound. But you know, this is language. And this all depends on what Spanish you speak. Do you speak Spanish that's in Mexico? Do you speak the Spanish that's spoken in Colombia? Do you speak the Spanish that's spoken in Spain? Are you speaking the Spanish that's spoken in Argentina? Are you speaking the Spanish that's spoken in the Caribbean? What Spanish are you spoken? Because they're all equal. I do not believe that one version of a language is superior to the other. They're all equal. And there's certain rules that are standard in all the languages. Just like in English, you know, the English that's spoken in the United States is not equal to the English that's spoken in England. I do not believe that British English is superior to American English, no more than I believe that American English is superior to Jamaican English or Bacanian English. It's just different version. Language reflects the culture. Okay, so There are exceptions, and that's what you have to learn. You learn the rule, and you learn all those words that, not all the words, but the words that fall into the rule. But you also learn those words or those concepts that fall outside. That's why they're called irregular. However, there are some important exceptions. And one important exception is the H. The H in Spanish is never, never. Did you hear my word? You see my lips, if you can see them? Never, 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 never pronounced. There is no exception. Sometimes if you want to make the sound, the J will give you that sound, because the J has two sounds. They'll give you that sound depending on what letter comes after the J, okay? But it is never pronounced. The H is never pronounced. In English, our, H-O-U-R, no pronunciation. Happy, H-A-P-P-Y, pronounced. So it depends on where the word comes from in English. Sometimes you have a homograph, such as a homograph with an H, with the verb, with the word H-E-R-B. If it's a lowercase h-e-r, lowercase h and E-R-B, it's herbs and spices, for example. But if it's the uppercase H, as in H-E-R-B, that's herb, and the H is pronounced. I know there's a problem in British English where sometimes, even though pronunciation-wise, it's correct to pronounce the H, many people who speak British English don't pronounce the H. That's not a problem in American English. American English, normally speaking, people don't drop their H. They don't drop the H sound. In British English, I think it's Pygmalion, the movie in which the main character, the woman, the way that he made sure that she pronounced the H correctly, he would have a candle in front of her. If the flame didn't move, and he gave her certain words like happy and home, which is no problem for an English speaker in the United States. And if the flame didn't move, then she was pronouncing it incorrectly. But if he put that same candle and the flame did move, like happy, home, handy, hand, the flame did move, that means she was pronouncing it correctly because she was pronouncing the H. So sometimes in English, you pronounce it, sometimes you don't. And in British English, even when sometimes you're supposed to pronounce the H, it's not pronounced. In American English, that's not a problem. Okay. So now the following words are homophones. Homophones, not homophones, homophones. And homophones are two words spelled differently, but pronounced the same. Let's look at some of them. Abría, abría. Look it up to find out what it means, but it's the imperfect form. It's the imperfect form of the verb abrir and haber. One is an IR verb, the other is an haber and ER verb. Okay. Hola and hola, not the same. Pronunciation is the same, but not the same. Uno, uno. Now I'm just going to show you words because otherwise it's going to go on and on and on. Okay. And this is talk about the command form of the verb atar. Here I have the meanings. Okay. You can look this up very easily. Here I have the meanings. Okay. I remember when I learned the word hincar. had never heard it before. And I remember I was interpreting and I didn't know what it meant in God. I remember that things like that will stay in your head. Okay. Here you have the meaningful prose, hasta y hasta. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut this video and then we'll start. The next video we'll talk about the oo, the sound of the oo, because that letter has more than one sound. Because we're talking about how Spanish can be confusing, especially when it comes to pronunciation. Okay, so you have words, what we had been talking about, you have words that sound the same but aren't spelled, that sound the same but aren't spelled the same because of the H. Now we're going to be looking at the oo, and the oo is confusing because it has more than one sound. So this is Coralla Ficklin McLean. Welcome, WYLCONE.com. We also have repeat, REPEET.com. We have other sites. Just look up my name, Coralla, CARRALA, Ficklin, F as in food, ICKLIN, and McLean, and it's MC, and then another uppercase CLAIN. And you'll see my other videos. I've made quite a few. And I want to thank you for visiting either my YouTube channel or wherever you see this. If you would be so kind as to subscribe so I can get as many subscribers as possible. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.